Hello everyone, welcome to my update US gossip channel. Kody Brown had weathered chaos before, family rebellions, public backlash, endless accusations of favoritism, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for the nuclear fallout that erupted the moment the unsealed court files hit the internet and detonated like a bomb across the Brown family's fractured landscape, sending shockwaves through Flagstaff, Las Vegas, and every corner of the Sister Wives universe as the headline "ROBYN'S secret husband exposed" blazed across social media, igniting an inferno of speculation before the family even understood what they were facing. And as cameras rolled for season 20, viewers watched history rupture in real time while Kody, Christine, Janelle, and Mary all found themselves caught in a vortex of disbelief, betrayal, and escalating emotional warfare. It all began early on a quiet Tuesday morning when a set of sealed documents, supposedly buried in a forgotten county archive, were suddenly made public due to a clerical error following a system audit, and within minutes a popular Sister Wives T account posted screenshots showing the shocking truth. Before legally marrying Kody in 2014, Robyn had allegedly remained tied, on paper, spiritually, and perhaps romantically, to a man who wasn't her ex-husband David Jessup, not the father of her older children, but someone completely different. A mystery man whose existence she had supposedly concealed for nearly 2 decades, and the world erupted, fans screaming online, conspiracy channels flooding YouTube, tabloids salivating while insiders scrambled to verify the documents. Meanwhile, inside the Brown household, chaos was already erupting as Kody paced inside the Flagstaff house he shared with Robyn, gripping the printed copies so tightly the pages crinkled, his voice echoing down the hall in a mixture of rage, confusion, and terrified realization that after years of defending Robyn with the fury of a man convinced he'd finally found loyalty in a plural marriage gone wrong, he now faced the possibility that she had hidden the one secret he could never tolerate, another man woven into her life, shadowing the marriage he considered the most sacred relationship he had left. And as he yelled, "Robyn, what is this? Who is he? Why didn't you tell me?" she collapsed onto the couch, sobbing into her hands, insisting that it's not what it looks like, that she never thought the files would be found, that the relationship was complicated, and that Kody needed to trust her. But Kody couldn't hear anything beyond the roaring in his ears as his world, already crumbling due to estrangement from his older kids and divorces from Christine, Janelle, and Mary, threatened to implode entirely. By midday the production crew had been forced to halt filming 3 times as Robyn hyperventilated. Kody stormed outside to scream into the Arizona wind, and phone calls from the other wives, past and present, began pouring in, each message laced with shock, suspicion, or barely concealed "I told you so" energy, starting with Christine, who, while shocked, couldn't deny the twisted satisfaction of seeing Kody finally confronted with a betrayal he couldn't blame on anyone else. She called him directly, her voice calm but firm. As she said, "Kody, I think you need to ask yourself why she didn't feel safe telling you the truth," a gentle dagger that struck deeper than she intended, while Janelle, ever practical even in the midst of melodrama, simply texted, "Are you okay? What's going on? Should we be worried?" Though sources say she confided to Maddie later that day that if Robyn really had a secret husband during the early years of her courtship with Kody, then everything about the family's breakup suddenly made more sense. Mary's reaction, however, cracked the internet in half when she posted a cryptic Instagram story reading, "Truth always comes out." Eventually, with no names mentioned but the timing unmistakable, and fans immediately began dissecting every pixel of the post as evidence of hidden feuds and past suspicions. But the real shock within the Brown orbit came when reporters uncovered the identity of this alleged secret husband, a man named Samuel Hartridge, known in certain legal circles for his past involvement with alternative lifestyle religious communities, and the court documents revealed that he and Robyn had allegedly entered into a spiritual union before her marriage to David Jessup, a union that, according to the paperwork, was never formally dissolved and may have overlapped with her early courtship with Kody, raising legal, spiritual, and emotional questions that no one could easily answer. The documents suggested that the connection between Robyn and Hartridge had involved both financial entanglements and custody implications related to her older children, and this revelation ignited new debates among fans who now wondered whether Kody's infamous decision to adopt Robyn's 3 kids, and his insistence that the entire family rearrange itself around her needs, had been influenced by factors he never knew existed, a possibility that left him pacing the Flagstaff driveway in absolute horror as cameras followed him, capturing his eyes wide with disbelief as he muttered, "Was I manipulated? Was any of this real?" The kind of self-doubt he'd spent years projecting onto his ex-wives now curling back toward him like karmic smoke. Meanwhile, Robyn's breakdown intensified as she locked herself in her room, refusing to film until producers agreed to let her set the record straight, even though she needed time to compose herself enough to speak without shaking. When she finally emerged for a confessional interview, tears streamed down her face as she claimed the relationship with Hartridge was not a marriage in the way people think, that it happened during a period of deep confusion in her life, and that she never intentionally hid anything from Kody, insisting she thought the matter was closed years before she met him. But fans immediately questioned the inconsistencies in her story, noting her tendency to portray herself as a victim while simultaneously withholding key details, and the mounting suspicion placed unimaginable strain on her already fragile relationship with the other wives. Christine, who had long accused Robyn of bringing instability into the family, told producers in her own confessional that she wasn't shocked, saying, "Robyn always had secrets. She always had drama following her. We just didn't know how deep it went," while Janelle admitted she felt betrayed on behalf of the entire family, adding, "We built our lives around her joining us, and now we find out there were things she didn't disclose? That's not okay." And Mary, who'd always clung to the belief that her spiritual bond with Kody had been undermined by Robyn's arrival, expressed a mixture of vindication and sorrow as she said, "It hurts to know he gave up so much for her, and maybe it wasn't real on her side," a haunting observation that rippled across fan spaces online. But the drama didn't stop with emotional fallout, because the Unsealed files revealed that Hartridge had filed a motion only months earlier seeking clarification on unresolved legal matters tied to the spiritual union, and the timing suggested he had reason to believe Robyn's current marriage to Kody might be impacted by the lack of closure in their past connection, a revelation that sent Kody spiraling into a state of near paranoid panic as he called multiple attorneys in the span of an hour, desperate to know whether his legal marriage to Robyn could be challenged or invalidated, especially given his vocal insistence that Robyn was the one he had chosen to build his future with after the breakdown of his relationships with Christine, Janelle, and Mary. In a tense scene captured on camera, Kody slammed a stack of papers onto the kitchen counter and shouted, "If this is true, if you were still tied to him, then everything we built was based on a lie." And Robyn, trembling, fought back with a rare flash of anger as she snapped, "You don't understand what I lived through. You don't know what he did. I thought it was handled, I thought it was over." The two of them clashing with a ferocity fans hadn't seen since the height of the Flagstaff move disaster, and as the argument escalated into a full-blown screaming match, their children fled to their rooms, the crew debated shutting down production entirely, and neighbors reportedly heard shouting from the streets, marking what insiders described as the most volatile moment in Brown family history. But the catastrophe wasn't limited to emotional upheaval, because the revelation triggered a cascade of legal complications that threatened to drag the entire family back into the public spotlight in a far darker way than anything they'd ever filmed for television, with attorneys speculating on talk shows whether Hartridge's re-emergence might prompt a legal investigation into past custody arrangements, adoption procedures, or even possible misrepresentations during Kody's adoption of the children. And though no formal action had yet been taken, the threat alone was enough to send Robyn into full-blown panic mode. Meanwhile, TLC executives were reportedly in crisis meetings discussing whether the scandal could revive ratings or pose a legal liability, with one insider claiming the network was salivating over the drama but terrified of the fallout, especially given Kody's increasingly unhinged behavior toward the crew, which included accusations that they intentionally leaked the documents to boost viewership. While all of this unfolded, Hartridge himself released a stunning public statement through his attorney, claiming he had no intention of disrupting Robyn's life but simply wanted unresolved legal matters clarified. Yet many fans didn't buy the innocence of his wording, pointing out the convenience of the timing and questioning whether he was motivated by financial desperation, personal revenge, or the desire to reclaim a past connection. Regardless of his motives, the damage was done, and the Brown family found themselves plunged into a storm of tension that made every past argument, every snowblower fight, every Coyote Pass meltdown, every divorce, look like child's play in comparison. and as Kody struggled to make sense of the betrayal, he confided to producers in a late-night confessional that he felt broken, humiliated, and manipulated, admitting for the first time in the show's history that he was questioning whether he even knew Robyn at all, a confession that stunned viewers and sparked debates across social media about whether this revelation might finally fracture their once unshakable bond. Meanwhile, Robyn retreated further into isolation, skipping family events, avoiding cameras, and insisting the world was unfairly painting her as a liar. But even some of her most loyal defenders struggled to justify the omissions in her past, and in a final twist that left fans breathless, producers ended the mid-season finale with a teaser showing Kody driving alone at night, gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles as he said, "Everything I thought I knew is gone. I don't know if my marriage can survive this," leaving the future of Kody and Robyn's relationship hanging in uncertainty as the sister-wives universe braced for the most explosive chapter yet.